Hello, Miss Panita's 2B public speaking class that I am a part of. My name is Jocelyn, as most of you should know, and I'm doing my book and movie review thing on Divergent. Divergent is the first of a series written by Veronica Roth. It was released on April 25th of 2011, and 3 years later was released on March 21st of 2014 as a movie. The movie was produced by Red Wagon Entertainment and Summit Entertainment and was distributed by Summit Entertainment and Lionsgate. Both the book and movie have won several awards. The book was the #1 Teens Top Vote and made the young adult and USA Today's best-selling list. It was voted favorite book of 2011. The movie was #1 in domestic and worldwide box office rankings, won 3 MTV Movie Awards, and was voted favorite action movie. Divergent is set in a post-apocalyptic, dystopian, futuristic version of Chicago. In this post-apocalyptic Chicago, the survivors were separated into 5 factions based on their dispositions or their personalities, I guess. Abnegation is for the selfless, amity is for the peaceful, candor is for the honest, dauntless is for the brave, and erudite is for the intellectual. Each year, every 16-year-old has to take an aptitude test that describes the faction for which they are best suited. After receiving the results, they can decide whether to remain with their family's faction or transfer to a new faction. Those who do not complete initiation into their new faction become factionless and are forced to live in poverty on the streets of the city. It starts off with the main character, Beatrice, or Tris Pryor, and her brother, Caleb, are on their way to take their aptitude tests. At the choosing ceremony, her brother goes before her and chooses erudite, the faction for the intellectual, and Tris goes and chooses dauntless, the faction for the brave. As Tris begins her initiation into the Dauntless faction is when the plot takes off. She begins making friends with the other Dauntless initiates, and then that's also when the underlying love story of Tris and her instructor 4 begins to start developing. So Tris goes through and she completes all the stages of initiation, and as she's completing the last thing, one of the other instructors injects her with a serum and says that it's for a tracking device type thing, when in reality it's like a mind control device kind of thing, and it makes everybody like go crazy so that they create like an army to go and destroy the faction of abnegation. The leader of the erudite faction, Janine Matthews, is the one that developed the serum to turn the Dauntless members into like a super army to destroy the abnegation faction, because I don't know what she has against them, but she always is slandering them and always putting negative things about them in the news, and she wants them gone. That's when you find out that not only Tris is divergent, but Tobias is also divergent, and they are completely aware during the simulation. They are not affected by the serum, and they together go and shut down the simulation to save the abnegation. And in this process, a lot of people die. My favorite part of the book is probably when you find out that Tobias is divergent as well, when the people from Dauntless are being transported to the abnegation faction, and everybody's kind of like a zombie, like they don't know what they're doing. And Tris is standing next to Tobias, and she tries to get his attention, but he doesn't like look at her or anything, so she thinks that he's actually under the simulation as well. And then it's kind of cheesy, but he starts to hold her hand, and then she realizes that he's not under the simulation too, and that he's actually coherent. I also really like there's a capture the flag game and a moment where Tobias takes Tris through his fear landscape, and they screwed it up in the movie, and those were all my favorite parts, and all of them were different in the movie, but I mean they're still okay in the movie. If you're interested in stuff like The Maze Runner or The Hunger Games, then you'll definitely like this series. It has been many connections to the real world, such as identity crisis, not fitting in, social structure, violence and fear, stuff like that. Divergent also falls under the science fiction and thriller genre. The movie is rated PG-13, and it's really long. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes long, which I love because it, like, most movies are a lot shorter than they should be to, like, and they leave out a lot of details from the book. But I love that Divergent was as long as it was because they didn't really leave out anything. They just kind of changed things around. But the things that they changed around were very, very minor. James Dashner, who is the author of the Maze Runner series, says Divergent is a captivating, fascinating book that kept me in constant suspense and was never short on surprises. It will be a very long time before I quit thinking about this haunting vision of the future. Melissa Marr, the author of Wicked Lovely, says, a taut and shiveringly exciting read. Triss is exactly the sort of unflinching and fierce heroine that I love. I couldn't turn the pages fast enough. And Hollywood Crush says, this is one fast-paced read that sticks in your head for days after you put it down, both because of its video game-like scenes and its thought-provoking promise. Beatrice Pryor is played by Shailene Woodley, and Tobias Eaton is played by Theo James. So yeah, if you like post-apocalyptic dystopian society books or movies and science fiction, and Theo James is pretty hot. Shailene Woodley is pretty hot too. So yeah, if you're into all that, then Divergent's the thing for you, even though it's super depressing and I cried a lot when I read it.